time is it? 3:30. 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. I don't know if anyone's going to turn up. Well, usually people turn up, but I just don't know how many. So I'll just wait here. Just waiting. Gee, that's bright. I'm going to have to close that. Just a second. Okay, sorry, I just had to close my blinds because the sun's starting to pour in. Anyway, welcome, Unscheduled Live. I don't know how many people are going to turn up because it's a weird, I'm never on at this time on a Friday. Anyway, so just waiting for people to turn up. I'm on YouTube at the same time. Whenever I do a live, I'm on YouTube the whole time, and I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. So just waiting for everyone to turn up. Happy Friday. I don't have weekends because I work every day. So Friday means nothing to me. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I don't do weekends. So anyway. Okay. It's a very slow start today. Anyway, if you want to start asking questions, go ahead. I'm just sitting here waiting. And my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. The boot camp course has those group Zooms going on right now. And tomorrow is at noon, here my time, Vancouver time. I do the live Zooms with that course right now. You can check that out. It's all in the link above. Okay, I'm still in my gym wear from this morning. Don't ask. It's a crazy day today. Okay, so any questions? I'm just sitting here waiting, just waiting. Oh, I see. I don't quite understand this. Someone on YouTube said, what to do if my 6-year-old son doesn't want to play? Do I start to play with his toys to encourage it? I don't quite know what you mean. Does he have to play? Like what I mean is my 6-year-old doesn't want to play. I don't know what you mean by that. That's on YouTube. So if you want to clarify that, I could probably answer it. Okay, so I'm just waiting for questions. Bonding time. Oh, bonding time. Oh, just watch what he does and join in if possible. So he might not want to play. That's okay. You might just hang around, just be available. Don't go on your phone, just be available. Sit there reading a magazine every so often, look up and say, hey, do you want to do something? So yeah, just be available. I ask him, want to play? He says, no, don't want to. Yeah. Oh, is he mad at you? Yeah, I don't know the context around that. Yeah, I would just be there. Don't just ask once and then walk off. Just ask and then flip through a magazine. A magazine looks like you're still available, whereas if you're on your phone, it looks like you're not. Or if you're reading a book, it looks like you're not. But just flip through a magazine, just be there, maybe ask the odd question, hey, what'd you do the other day at school? Or, just be there. Okay, let me see here. My 3-year-old tells me what to do all the time. How do I address this? Well, you don't do what he tells you, for one thing. Check out my behavior board. That might help you. Also, you can go and check out the boot camp course. That's how to get respect between 3 and 12 years old. That's a 5-week course. And I've got the one-on-one Zooms with, not one-on-one, sorry, that's coaching. I've got the group coaching going with that right now on Saturday afternoons. But yeah, it just means that he doesn't respect you. When a kid's being sassy to you, it means he doesn't respect you. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're not correcting kids. We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. So it's not that there's anything wrong with his disrespect. He's just reacting to what he's not getting from you, right? He's not getting leadership from you. But once you're a leader, he will respect you. Parents tend to blame their kids for that, but really it's you. If they're being sassy or disrespectful towards you, it's because you haven't earned their respect yet. You got to work for it. It's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. Okay, I hand school my kids, and lately my 7-year-old's attention span hasn't been good. How do I help her focus better during school? Well, that's sort of more of a teacher thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't teach teaching or anything like that, so I don't want to make comment on that. But yeah, her attention span is good. I don't know what your situation is, and I'm not a teacher. So I really want to stay away from that one. It's not a behavioral issue, right? Yeah, sorry about that, but yeah. Have had a foster child for 6 weeks. She's nearly 5 or she won't stay with. Yeah, I'm in an awkward situation. I don't teach foster parenting, aunting, grandparenting. I only teach parenting. If you haven't got custody of that child, because I don't know, sometimes the agencies will tell you what to do with children. I don't want to step on their toes. So yeah, I can't answer that. Do you look at me? Just okay. Hopefully I'll be able to answer the next one. I'm not going to edit them either. I'm just going to go see San Diego. Oh, I can do that. Okay. Hi, San Diego. Okay. Got a whole bunch of notes here. Okay, just a sec. How about an 18-month-old that starts tantrums and throws herself on the floor when she doesn't get what she wants? Yeah, they're going to do that. You just physically restrain them. You keep them safe. When they get physical, when they're having a tantrum, if they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you just hold them. Just like, not like hug them, but you just hold them to keep them from damaging property or themselves. And then you just wait, let go, and then if they start up again, then you hold them again. So yeah, you just have to physically, restrain them to keep them safe. My toddler tries to communicate with sounds instead of words. How can we well, when you say toddler, I don't know how old you're talking about. Some kids don't talk till they're 3. So yeah, I don't quite know what age we're dealing with here. And also, I don't know there's no set rule for when they should start to talk. No one's going to give you that. There are basic guidelines for that, but no one can really tell you. I knew someone who didn't talk or walk until they were 3 years old. And then they got up, never shut up, and ran. So yeah, they just weren't in any hurry. She had 2 brothers, a younger one and an older one, who did everything for her. And she's very laid back adult too. Just very calm, laid back person. No rush for anything. Oh, if she doesn't talk sometimes. Yeah, I was just going to say, she must be your oldest one. Usually if you have older kids and you have a younger one not talking, you're usually quite thrilled. So yeah, they're just going to talk when they're going to talk. Like if you're really worried, go to a speech pathologist or a pediatrician to check into it. But otherwise, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I would respond differently if they spoke properly, if you knew they could. So I would be more apropos to answer them if they spoke properly. I don't know why I use that word apropos. Anyway, my 13-year-old becomes very frustrated while playing his video game. He only gets an hour and asked me to teach him how to control his anger. Help. Your 13-year-old asked you how to help him control his anger. Interesting. That's interesting that that's a request that he has. I don't quite know. Like, does he have anger outside of the video games too? Like, is this an ongoing thing? Does he accept the word no? Does he have self-discipline? Does he have chores? In other words, is he used to doing stuff he doesn't like to do? Is he used to things not going his own way? So that's kind of poor sportsmanship. So yeah, I don't know I'd have to sort of assess the home life, see what's going on there, because I don't know why he's such a poor sport when he's playing video games. Like, is he used to not getting all his own way, everything not going his own way, or do you cater to him? That could be it. I'm not sure. I'd have to assess that. How do you help a 10-year-old that is headstrong and isn't worried about consequences, meltdowns, or screaming, yelling, and swearing? Yeah, that's you might want to hire me for that one. That's sort of next level if they're still having meltdowns at 10. Or you can just look up the behavior board. That's completely free. It's all in the link above. Or you can look at the boot camp course. That's in between coaching and the free behavior board. I've still got those group Zoom coachings going on for the next 5 weeks with that boot camp course. But yeah, work on your leadership skills. That's all it is. Everyone wants to fix their kids. It's not about that. It's about you. It's about leadership. I've worked with hundreds of kids, teenagers, toddlers. I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it them? Or was it me? Was I fixing them, or did I just happen to know how to get respect? Think about that. Like, it's you, your leadership skills. It's all it is here. It's all it is. It's never about fixing the kids. I should have like a blanket, really effective statement for that. Like, they're just following your lead or lack of it. So their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12, under the age of 3, they're just nuts. 13 and over, they're kind of getting their own mind, right? Their own sort of power. But 3 to 12, their behavior is 100% a direct result of parenting. So, which is a good thing. It means you're at the height of your leadership skills. That's when you have the most power, the most control, the most influence over your children. Okay? You want that because they feel good about themselves when they're with you. You're a good leader. They like themselves when they're with you. because that's what a leader does. A leader brings out the best in kids. So they like themselves when they're with you. Therefore, they want to please you. It's just what it, have you ever had a really good coach, mentor, teacher, someone that you looked up to? Would you ever be rude to that person, or did you kind of want to please them? Because they made you feel good, right? That's what this is all about. Okay. My son behaves at home, but at school he cries when he can't complete a task. Well, does he cry at home when he can't complete a task? Like, are your expectations of him at home way down here? Like he has no chores, he doesn't have any rules, and then at school they actually have chores and rules and things that they have to do. So he's not used to doing them. Is that it? Is there an imbalance? Is there nothing expected of him at home at all? And then a lot's expected at school, right? You know, the more you give your kids chores and responsibilities and that before they even start school, the easier they're going to transition into school. Yeah, I don't know. Could be that. Could be others. Something else. I don't know. You said he disliked, let me see what you're talking about here. When you continue on, I don't usually know what you've said in the first place. Oh, okay. Oh, that's a 13-year-old. Becomes very frustrated and plays how to control his anger. Okay. Sandra, I think it was. He disliked the consequence of getting off immediately. Well, yeah, I don't know. Like my gut reaction is that things kind of go his way. He's kind of a poor sport. That winning is a big deal in your house. Losing is a bad thing. You know, my mom, I think my brother and we're sort of similar in that we both are really positive people. We don't tend to complain much. I did more when I was younger. My brother never did, but I did more now. I don't at all. I'm a real positive person, but we're also very good sports. Like we sort of take things off the cuff if things happen to us. And I think that's because my mom always said, she used to say, it's not whether or not you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And it's kind of like that with life. So it's how you play the game. And if you're focusing so much on winning, even when you're gaming with kids, that can make them sore losers, can make losing something that they do not like to do. So yeah, focus less on winning and more on how you play. My mom used to say, we were real gamers in our house, and she used to say, I'd rather lose and play well than win through luck. So she used to always say, you played that so well. But she never really said, good for you for winning. I don't remember that. She was all about how you play, and she was like that in life too. It's not what she used to say, it's not the cards you're dealt, it's how you deal with them. And when she got dementia and she ended up in a home later in life, I made a banner for her, said it's not the cards you're dealt, it's how you deal with them. So yeah, he hasn't learned that. I think that's something you kind of have to teach your kids. Like my daughter and I were just talking yesterday, I think it was, or was it this morning? I can't remember. Anyway, we talk every day. So, and we were just saying, she said, you never let us complain about anything. And I said, no, I didn't. My mom didn't like it either. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, that does suck. What are we going to do about it? Okay. I was always trying to guide them into being positive. So yeah, maybe work on that. Yeah, but it's still a matter of things not going his way, right? It's still the same. It's the same issue. And he just happens to be passionate about that game. So when he's not passionate about something, he's maybe a better loser because he doesn't care as much, right? Yeah, you might not be the pleaser, but you might have focused a lot on winning and not teaching him how to accept failure and losses. I used to teach my kids that the road to success is paved with failure. If you're not failing through life in a lot of different things, you're not trying hard enough, right? Like, don't do something just that you know you're going to be good at. I would be more likely to throw myself into something I think I might be horrible at, just to see how I do. How do I get a behavior board? It's completely free. Just check out the link above. You'll see it up there. So I got to scroll ahead because people come and go, and I don't want to answer questions if people have left. Okay, my nearly 2-year-old bites other children on the face. I've tried so many things, but nothing seems to be working. You got to watch them like a hawk to protect other kids. Okay, if you're not around, there's not much you can do, but you got to watch that, and you got to say no and make sure. If it was at your house, I would say no, and I would say to the other kid, well, here you go, you get to play with his favorite toy now. I would give if your child his favorite toy and give it to the other child and say, oh, that's too bad. Here, you get to play with that now. Does it build hatred and resentment? If you do this enough times, they're going to get it. That other kid gets a reward for being the victim and gets their favorite toy. Someone said, I'm still here. It's hard for me to look back. I don't know if you see what I see, but it's hard to go back and find questions. It's funny. Sugar, I forgot your name now. Is it when you said, sugar, okay. Sugar, okay. I started the board question. I started with 2 things. When should I add more to it? You do 1 rule per week. 1 rule per week. Week 1 is 1 rule. I call them battles. 1 battle per week. 1 rule in week 1. Then you've got 2 rules in week 2. Another behavior board. So now you have 2 behavior boards. In week 3, you're going to have 3 behavior boards. You never go past that. You only do 3 behavior boards. But it's just the behavior board is just a teaching tool. Like, I would never use one. It's a teaching tool to show you how to do all this, how to set up rules and consequences. All you're doing is teaching children how to be accountable. It's not even so much teaching them to be good, because once they realize there's a consequence if they're bad, they're just going to be self-regulating. They're going to be self-disciplined, right? I used to tell my kids, if you're good, life is good. If your bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure that not, because I'm your mom and that's my job. So they just never acted out. Why would they? Because they knew mom would come in like this. I'd say, hey, you kind of messed up there, didn't you? What do you think you should do for that? And they go, oh, maybe no TV tonight. You know, it's no big deal. They understood that they're accountable for what they say and do and how they act. They understood that from about 3.5, I would say. They kind of had it figured out. So, like the behavior board, a lot of parents say, well, they're still breaking the rule. Well, it's week 2. I've just been working with you this is our 2nd session. And you think, and they're still breaking that rule. I don't care. They might be breaking that rule for 2 or 3 weeks. It doesn't matter. It's, do you follow through with the consequence? Eventually they'll get it. They're going to get sick of those consequences and they're just going to lean into doing the right thing. They're going to lean into making good decisions, good choices. What's tonight's topic? I don't have one. I'm a parenting coach, so I just answer questions. But also, most parents on here ask me, they're talking about bad behavior and how to discipline. That's not what I'm all about. I'm about connecting with kids, being a leader for children, bringing out the best in them. The pool story, that's one of my videos is called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's the pool story. It is the best example of what I'm all about. The pool story explains exactly how I see parenting. It wasn't even my own kid I did this with, but it was just, you deal with bad behavior and then you flip it and focus on the good kid. You always want to bring the good out in people. If you're focusing on the bad, where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. You don't ignore it. You deal with bad behavior. Hey, well, you did something bad. Here's the consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? It's like that. Okay? Now, you never want children to feel ashamed of being bad, if that makes any sense. You don't want to shame your child for making bad choices. You want to say, okay, you made a bad choice there. You did something bad. Now here's the consequence. You want them to understand they are responsible for how their life goes. Consistency is key. Yeah, so long as you're doing the right thing. Yeah, absolutely. You got to be consistent. I shared your pool story with several of my nieces who are new parents. Excellent. Yeah, that pool story is just the best. If I do say so myself, sorry about that. But I mean, it's the best at explaining what I'm all about. And I did a video. I don't know about Facebook. I don't do my social media. But I know I did pin it on Instagram and on TikTok. It's the very first video in Instagram and TikTok. And it's called Example of Leadership Parenting. And it's the pool story. In that particular video, I hit every point in that video. That's why I like that particular one. I've talked about it millions of times, but that one, I actually got it just right. Because I tell that story all the time and I always miss something, but that one I hit every point. Yeah, I told hubby about the pool story. It's so true, not to focus on the bad behavior. You deal with it. Deal with bad behavior. Hey, that was stupid. You know, we all make mistakes. Oh, well, here's the consequence. Now, do you want to read a book? It's like that. It's like you don't make it part of their identity. Parents always want to give lectures on everything they did wrong. Would you want to get a lecture at work? You make a mistake and then the boss says, well, you know, you shouldn't have done that. What are you thinking of? You know, it's awful. What should I do if I have to say something over and over, like get dressed for bed or get dressed? Okay, he's 7, she's 4. Okay, 7 and 4-year-old, and you're always repeating yourself. I don't repeat myself. I say something, then I take action or I lay down a consequence. Okay, it's time to get ready for bed. And then if they don't, but even then, I set it up really consistently. So if you've got a system, I have like a bedtime routine, I had a school morning routine, I had a mealtime routine. Everything was sort of a routine, like school runs with routine. So I just say, okay, we're going to get ready for bed now, and they just get ready and go. But you have to say something over and over again. It means that you're not consistent, you don't have a routine, you don't have a structure, and you don't follow through. So check out my it's a free behavior board, or you can check out the boot camp course. Those group Zoom sessions, the live sessions are still happening with that course only. They're kind of like this. They're kind of like a Q&A, but they're only in reference to the course if you're in that course, the boot camp course. But it's all about getting systems in place and being really clear, consistent, and they just go along with it. It's like going to school sort of in a way, and that it's understood what happens. It's just understood. I would never repeat myself. Although I just did, because I already said I wouldn't repeat myself, so I just did. But anyway, yeah. I don't repeat myself, because if you do, they tune you out. As soon as parents say I repeat myself, I know those kids have already tuned you out. They don't respect you. I love the connecting part as well. Yeah, the pool story, that's what that's all about. I don't let anything go. I would never use a behavior board. That's a teaching tool. I don't let anything go. I'm very quick to pick up on stuff, but I don't make a big deal out of it. Like that pool story. I took control, didn't I? Yeah, right, very fast, very fast. And then what am I doing? I'm connecting with that kid. I'm bonding with him, making him feel like $1 million. How can I unspoil a child? 11 4-year-old boys. You mean with stuff, or with letting them get away with stuff? If it's with stuff, just say, I'm not going to be buying this stuff anymore. That's ridiculous. I made a mistake. Say, I made a mistake. So it's not their fault. If you're spoiling, giving in, say, I'm going to be a better parent from now on, and just change it. Just start watching, use the behavior board, check out the boot camp course. Yeah, you can still change that. What's kind of difficult sometimes is I get some clients who are very successful, and they have a lot of money, and so do all their neighbors, and so do all the friends of their kids. So how on earth can they not buy them? They say all their friends have G-Wagons, those Mercedes, expensive thing. How can I not get my kid a G-Wagon? And it kind of gets a little bit difficult in those situations, but we still have to work with that. Like, you still don't want to give in to all their demands, but you also don't want them to be riding the bus if all their friends are driving their cars to school. Like, I get that. But spoiling is different from just giving what children sort of are in their, like what they're used to, their neighborhood and all that. Yeah, it's kind of awkward. I didn't give my kids a lot of toys. I wasn't big on that. But we spent our money on experiences. That's what we did. We went holidays, we went ski trips. We did stuff like that, but I didn't give my kids a lot of stuff. And also, if they'd asked for anything, like just out of the blue, I want that, I would have said, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you don't ask for stuff like that. So I would never feel a demand if a child told me he wanted something or asked for something, and it's not Christmas, not birthday. And even then, I would say, well, I would have to ask first. I'd say, what do you want for your birthday? I wouldn't want kids just getting demanding like that. So it's an attitude more than anything. Oh, Catherine Freeman, you're going to have to ask it again. I can't scroll back. I get dizzy because I'm old. I get vertigo, right? So if I scroll backwards too much, I get dizzy. You don't want to see me fall off my chair. Or maybe you would. That might be funny. Anyway, my 7-year-old is having tantrums and throws. Oh, here we go. And throws things. He doesn't care if he breaks a favorite toy or whatever. He is only acts this way at home. Of course they do. It's too embarrassing to act like that out in public. At school, he's very well behaved. Yep. That's a good thing. That means that he knows how to behave. Okay. If they're difficult at school and at home, that's harder. But he's good at school, not at home. It just means he respects the teacher and he doesn't respect you. That's all that means. Work on your leadership skills and that will not happen. Everyone wants me to fix the kids. I don't do that. I teach you. When you're a leader, they tend to respect you, and then you don't have those problems. Okay. So check out the boot camp course. That might be for you. That's right. You're right in there. It's 3 to 12 years old. You're right in there, and it's a good age to start this. Oops, what time is it? Oh, actually, sorry. I'm going to have to go over to Instagram now. So if you want to follow me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, thanks so much for watching. And you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my boot camp course, or look into coaching. It's all in that one link above. By the way, every week someone gets scammed out of money by someone pretending to be me. They use my videos, they use my picture, they use my name, they use a .com very close to bratbusters.com. So watch that. And if you go on the link above, that is me. Just keep following the link. Yeah, nothing I can do about that. I can't go out there and stop that stuff. So anyway, be very careful with that. Anyway, I'm moving over to Instagram now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Okay, thanks for watching. Happy parenting. I don't know why I'm pure white on YouTube, this webcam. Oh, it's got the worst camera. I always look translucent in there. Like I'm a vampire or something. Okay, I'm on Instagram now. That one gets going really fast. Facebook's my slowest one. Well, no, YouTube. I don't include YouTube in the social media stuff because YouTube's a search engine. It's quite different. It's not a social media platform. Okay, hello. Welcome to my live. This is one of my unscheduled lives. Anyway, just waiting for everyone to turn up. You can start with your questions anytime. Anyway, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. That one is 3 to 12 tomorrow. I've got another live Zoom session, a group coaching session with the boot camp course. So I've got 5 more of those. It's just kind of a one-off thing I'm doing. So tomorrow, if you want to get in on that, you have to sign up for the boot camp course. And you can look into coaching. What's the best age? God, I have a lot of teenagers right now in coaching. Tons of them. It's funny how it goes that way. But yeah, tons and tons of teenagers right now. So if you've got younger children, chances are I might want to take you on as a coaching client because I can't take everyone on, but I like to mix up the ages. And teenagers, when I'm coaching parents with teenagers, I have to think. With younger kids, not so much, but teenagers, their stuff can be heavy, right? So, okay, what's the best age gap, would you say? I don't have an opinion on that. I've known lots of kids who are 1 year apart and they hate each other. Other kids who are 10 years apart and they love each other. And I don't know. That's a personal choice. I've got 5 years between my two. I didn't plan it that way. I had, in between my 2 kids, I had back surgery and then I had a miscarriage. And I miscarried multiples. So I would have had like a litter. Anyway, but yeah, and then so I had 5 years between them. It was pretty good actually because it worked out really well. My son started grade 1 and then I had my newborn daughter. So I had tons of time with her, right? So I had 5 years alone with my son to really bond with him. And it's funny, I raised my kids in Australia. And it was just my son. My husband was around too, but it was my son and I all day together, right? So when he first started school, he sounded Canadian, even though he was born in Australia. It was really funny. And because when they're really little, they don't talk that well. He was 3 when he first started kindy. And that's when he had this strong Canadian accent. And the teachers couldn't understand them because he had a 3-year-old with a Canadian accent. So, but then he eventually got an Aussie accent. And we moved back to Canada when he was 15, and he still sounds Australian, whereas my daughter was 10 when we moved back, and her Australian accent's gone. Depends on when you move. Anyway, sorry about that. I went on about nothing. Okay. My daughter is defiant. 4-year-old will push, push, push. That only means it works. At 4 years old, they only do what works. She's pushing because she knows if she pushes long enough and hard enough, they'll give in. That's why. Guaranteed. They don't do that if it doesn't work. They just don't. What action to take or what to say? Like, you know how I know that? I've worked with hundreds of kids, and they're like that. They're very and I've been warned. Oh, they'll just push and push until they get their own way. They might try that with me in the first session. They wouldn't do that with me after that. So they just wouldn't. So they only do what works. What action to take or what has worked in the past. Even though you say, that's it, I'm never going to let that happen again. They remember the old you, right? Because I don't have history with them either, so it's easier for me coming in. What action to take or what to say when my 20-month-old says, "Down, he doesn't want you holding the baby sister." Say, "Oh, no, I'm holding her. That's okay." You don't have to take orders from a 20-month-old. They have to learn that when they say something, it's not going to be obeyed right away. That's okay. Being jealous of a new baby is very normal for a toddler. They just get used to it. How to control uncontrollable burst of negative energy in a 7-year-old. Well, that's kind of a general, broad question. I don't know. Set yourself up as a leader, and they generally don't have negative energy. It calms them down, for one thing. Plus, their energy is more positive. Children with a leader tend to be more positive. They have high self-esteem, and they like themselves more. If you're not a leader for your children, they are going to act out more. Also, you want to be a leader for your children, because if you're not a leader at home, they're going to be very vulnerable out there in the world. They're going to be very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea. They're going to go searching for a leader elsewhere. Set yourself up as a leader, and everything sort of just gets easier. It's just the way it is. What do you consider the definition of a tantrum? I don't do that. I don't define stuff like that, because you're just going to challenge it anyway, right? You look it up. I don't know. I'm not a dictionary, but yeah. It's like I always say, there's tantrums, fits, scenes, and meltdowns, and someone said they're completely different. Okay. It's just when they lose their nut. Let's put it that way. How do you regulate your own emotions when your child is having a meltdown? That's your responsibility. I can't tell you how to control yourself. You have to learn to do that. Know that it's short term and that it's just a short term thing. You're going to have to learn how to, on the outside anyway, control yourself. I can't help you with that. You're asking me, how do I stop getting angry? I can't help you with that. Just know that it's worth it in the long run. Short-term pain for long-term gain. So fake it till you make it. What to do if you already bought a kid a toy today? Had they already got it? You can't take it away. You can't punish them for your mistake if it's not their birthday or Christmas. Just stop doing it in future. But yeah, you can't take it away. Oh, well, my mistake, rip. You can't do that. How do I combat a 5-year-old girl with attitude and big feelings? What do you mean by big feelings? I never understand that. I know it's trendy to say that. Everyone has big feelings. I don't know what you mean by that. Anyway, so attitude, because that's a tell. It means that you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills, and it just regulates them. They tend to calm down. They feel like they have a safe place to land when they have a leader. They're more likely to come and talk to you and reason things out when you're a leader. It's just the way it is. They trust you. And yeah, so now I heard, what is it? That now there's a term called, oh God, I'm probably going to insult someone out there, but anyway, I can't help myself here. There's a new term that's come out, and it's for moms. It's like ODD. It's a made-up term to make moms feel better. Oppositional defiant disorder. It isn't a thing. Doctors have told me. They just made it up to make moms feel better. Oh, it's not your fault. They just have oppositional defiant disorder. No, it's not. It's your responsibility. Anyways, it's quite funny. But now they're saying that babies it's a highly sensitive baby. If they cry a lot, it's a highly sensitive baby. So there's a reason for it. I don't understand that. I think that's what they call it, a highly sensitive baby. I don't know. It's a real trendy term right now. It's, you know what it is? It's always trying a way to place the blame on the child. It's interesting to me. It's always, I don't know why people are looking for a way to blame their kids for their own behavior. I would take responsibility. If my kids are acting out, that's my responsibility. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. Heaven forbid the parents should take responsibility for their kids' behavior. Heaven forbid. Why is that? I don't even understand that. I would never blame my kids when they act out. If my kids had acted out, I would have gone, what am I doing? What am I missing here? What am I doing? I've worked with hundreds of kids. If they acted out under my care, I always went like this. What am I missing here? These weren't even my kids. A leader takes responsibility for a child. So do you think highly sensitive equals parents certainly? Not necessarily. Don't equate the two necessarily. Some kids are more sensitive, but you can calm them down by being a leader. Highly sensitive implies that they cry a lot, right? If they are crying a lot, yeah, you kind of want to look at what you're missing here. Do they feel safe? Do they feel like, are you predictable? Do you have routines? Do you have structure? Do you make them feel safe? Or do they feel like chaos? I don't know what's going on. If you yell at them, that can hurt them. That can upset them. If you're inconsistent, that can upset them. Yeah, I never understand that. Why would a parent want to blame their child for their child's behavior? I can't even get my head around that. You know what that says to me? You love yourself more than you love your child. You'd rather blame them for their behavior rather than take full responsibility for it and say, I'm going to fix this. You see where I'm saying? See where I'm going with this? Because I worked with hundreds of kids, teenagers. Delinquent teenagers, if they were under my care and they acted out, what am I doing here? What am I missing? How can I get better? Does that make sense? Even if it's not your fault, wouldn't you want to take responsibility? Wouldn't you rather not blame your kids? Oh, frustrates the bejeebies out of me. That ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, I'm so mad at doctors for coming up. They invented that just to make moms feel better. They told me that. It's not a thing. Gee, I can feel my blood pressure. Just gets me going. Someone wrote here once, you mean you're blaming me for my kids' behavior? Yeah. Yeah. Come on, you can do this. I'm telling you what to do instead of allowing that. I love that when that person said that. Oh boy, I came after them so hard. I don't think that my video person put that in my videos, but I went after them. Yeah, I'm blaming you at 110%. Yes. Like, I know when I was looking after kids, and if they did act out, because I never got an easy kid to work with, right? They're always feisty. And then the teacher would say, weren't you responsible for that kid? And I'm like, yeah, I know, I messed up. You see, I didn't blame the kid. It's like, that's me. I'm their mentor. I'm their behavior mentor right now. I messed up. So I always took responsibility, even for other people's kids, when they were under my care. It's the way I approached it. Did I really blame myself? No, probably not. But that's the way I approach it, because they're not my kids, right? I saw them for an hour a week. But I still approach it with that. I still approach it with empowering myself to help them to make better choices. Because I know that makes them feel better. They like themselves if they're nice. They don't like themselves if they're not. Okay. I don't know why that gets me so riled up. Actually, I do know. There's a few reasons for it, but I won't go into it. Okay, I'm a single mom of 14 and 16-year-old girls. They're not bad, just don't do anything I ask. Yeah. I never call kids bad. Their behavior can be rotten, but they're not. They're all doing the best they can. Kids are just victims of really. Okay, so let me read out my top 3 tips of parenting teenagers. Okay, number 1 is listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. Okay, they already know it anyway. Number 2, you negotiate pretty much everything with teenagers. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? It's not a blanket statement, but it's an idea. Keep that in your head. If you're asking for something from them, you can say to them, what do you want from me? Think about it. That's respect. With teenagers, you give respect long before you get it. You got to work on this. But if you've raised them and as a leader, it happens anyway. Okay. Number 3, but you got to change how you parent teenagers. Number 3 is with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. Save your energy for the big stuff if you even need it. If you're going to try and micromanage a teenager, it's just never going to work, okay? If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Say, we all make mistakes, kiddo. All we can do is learn from them, okay? And then just laugh it off. You got to be on their side. You got to be, like, you're not working against them. You're on their side, and they pick up on that. My son was 15. He could have rebelled. He had it in him, but he never did. And he said to me, he was 15 years old, and he says, and he was kind of mad when he said this because all of his friends were kind of rebelling at that 15-year-old boy. That's when they do it. That's most of my clients who have teenage boys, they're 15. Anyway, he said to me at 15, he goes, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I didn't know if I was supposed to apologize or applaud and celebrate. So I just said, oh, okay, go clean your room. And he never did. Rebellion taken care of. Anyway. Okay, I'm only 24 with a 1-year-old. Isn't that funny that these days that sounds like a young mom, whereas that would have been nothing, but now, yeah. It doesn't really sound, lots of people are young and still have kids, but at one time that would have been, oh, you're that old and you just had 1 kid? Anyway, I'm only 24 with 1-year-old. I always think of how I want to raise her and everything I think you say. I love your content. Keep it up. Okay, great. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate your support. Hi, how do I get my toddler to stop hitting when it's so random? Like in the middle of happiness, she just swings. That's toddler aggression. I have a mini course on that if you're interested. It's one of my toddler mini courses, and it's the dumbest name, but I'm not good at writing names of courses. What is it called? So I'm just looking at toddlers who hit, I think it's called. Toddlers hitting, biting, something like that. Anyway, check it out. It's in the link above. And but now I just want to mention this though. Toddlers hitting and biting, 1 and 2-year-olds, not 3 and above. If they're 3 and above, it goes on the behavior board. Okay. So this is different from toddlers who hit during a tantrum. That's different. If they hit during a tantrum, it's sort of like their whole body, they lost control anyway. But if they hit at another time when they haven't lost it, they're just excited, it's a different method of how you get them out of that. And toddlers are not about words. They're not about the behavior board. Toddler is under the age of 3. They're about consistent corrective actions. So anyway, my hair is all stuck. When your hair gets to be a certain amount length, it gets stuck under your armpits when you're working out and it gets all sweaty. So I always try and keep it back. So I'm still in my gym clothes from early this morning. Sorry about that. How do you feel about screen time and causing behavioral issues? Okay, there's 3 different ways of managing media or screen time, whatever you want to call it. The first 2 are okay. I'm not big on them because you have to micromanage this. It's 1 hour a day, or it's 1 period of time during the day. It can be like between 7 and 8, or you can just say it's 1 hour a day, whatever. And then you're kind of policing that. The one I like is they're more in control of it, because you don't want to be micromanaging kids all the time. This starts at around the age of 5 or 6 with your help. And you say to them, look, you've got 5 hours a week, or if they're older, 10 hours a week, whatever you decide. There's no set time. For me, I don't care, but you decide how many hours a week you want them to have. And then you break it down into minutes and write it all up in tons of circles, or use graph paper or something, count out all the squares. And you are the timekeeper. You are the one who crosses off each minute. So if they've been on for 30 minutes, you cross off 30 circles or 30 squares. You get the idea. Only you can do that. And then they might binge watch for the first 3 days thinking that you're going to give in, which is often the way if you're one of those pleaser parents who gives in all the time. So then by Wednesday, they've used up all their hours for the whole week. They've got to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with no screens. It's going to be hell. You think the next week they might be a bit better at that? Yeah. And you want to start passing responsibilities off to your kids. That's a really good one. You're just a timekeeper. You're just the scorekeeper. That's all you're doing. You're not in charge of when they do it, except they can only do it when it's an appropriate time to use screens. Like they can't use screens at 2 o'clock in the morning kind of thing. So what am I doing wrong? Someone says, I don't know. Not being bad, just don't do anything I ask. Well, I don't know what you're doing wrong. You'd have to hire me to figure that out. I have no idea what kind of mother you are and what you're doing or what you're not doing. I don't know. But basically, if they don't do anything you ask, I don't know what you're asking. Are you being fair and reasonable? Remember what I said with my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers? You negotiate pretty much everything. Check out the behavior board. Just start there. And you can do that with them. Okay, and call it family law or call it a karma chart. So here's a rule. Your rule's usually no yelling if you yell. No yelling. So, yeah. And then go from there. You can do it with them because they're teenagers. You can do it with them. But don't go in too hard. Make it easy, sort of, and say, look, I got this new thing because I want to be a better mom. Don't say, because you don't listen to anything I say. Don't do that. Just say, I want to be a better mom for you girls. So here we got this. I got this karma chart. We're going to start tomorrow. Let's write it up tonight, and it starts tomorrow. So yeah, give that a go. If not, look into coaching, and I can do it with you. What time is it? Okay. Did you just say pleaser parent? Yeah. There's the old-fashioned authority or dictator, and then there's the newfangled pleaser parent. I don't do either one of those. The old-fashioned authority parent is you do my way or the highway. I'm in charge. I'm your parent. You respect me. Those parents, not a bad way to parent. The teenagers will rebel. If they have it in them, they'll rebel, but then they'll come out the other end just fine and appreciating what you did for them, okay? The pleaser parents is a train wreck all the way through. And that one, the teenagers rebel. They rebel when they're young, too. And they're just never going to listen to you. They wipe their feet all over you. They treat you like a dish rag, and they grow up and they never appreciate you. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Yeah, it's a total disaster. It's the pleaser parent style. Like you're trying to make everything fun. You believe in participation awards. Is that the stupidest thing you ever heard of? You just turn up and you get an award? I was on the bus the other day, or the SkyTrain, our subway system here. I was on the subway. They didn't give me an award for getting on there. How entitled is that? You just turn up and you get an award? It's the stupidest thing. I didn't allow my children to get those awards. I thought it was the stupidest thing I ever heard of. My kids laughed when I explained it. I said, you're not getting that. Stupidest thing. Anyway, that's where it all started. About 40 years ago, it started with participation awards. I can remember, because I'm old now, I can remember when that first came out. Are you? I thought it was a joke. And I used to have a parenting column in the newspaper, and I wrote a whole article on that. How popular was I? Not very, because everyone was getting on this please your parent bandwagon, trying to please your kids all the time, raising these self-entitled snots. It was just a disaster. And then everything just was trashed. The kids, schools, teachers are quitting right, left, and center because parents are sending ill-behaved children to school because they're trying to please them at home. They go to school and there's rules at school, heaven forbid. And then teachers have to quit right, left, and center. They can't even teach anymore. They're having to deal with bad behavior all day long. It's a disaster. I think it's getting better though. But a lot of a huge portion of my clients are teachers and principals, and they say it's just a disaster. They're just having to become behavioral specialists because parents aren't doing their jobs at home. Because the pleaser parent style came in. God, that stupid participation award. Oh, I couldn't believe it. Am I the only one that thinks that's the stupidest thing in the world? You just turn up and you get an award. You know what's funny? What I was reacting to in that article I wrote, I had a Q&A section, like, ask the parenting expert stuff. And what had happened was there was an article written, someone in California or something, her kid did not get a participation award, so she sued the school. You want to hear the funny part? Her child hadn't even gone to sports day, and she still wanted her child to get the participation award. Oh my God, talk about entitlement. Participation awards are embarrassing. Yeah, why are you doing this? Why? Children have nothing to be proud of. Nothing. You're doing them a disservice by doing stuff like that. It's horrible. Teacher here agreed. Yeah, huge portion of my clients are teachers. I'd say about 40% are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs, by the way. Parenting is a different role from all those. Parenting is personal. And also, it's not that they're struggling more than other people, but they're learners, right? They want to get it right. They want to learn more about it because they're, in the education system, right? So they want to learn. But yeah, boy, I hear from them. Okay. Do you ask your kids to do things or tell them? That's an interesting question. You ask your kids to do. Well, I never told my kids what to do. I would just say, I'll tell you what, we all got chores. I'm going to be doing the laundry, paying the bills, doing this, doing that. But what I need from you is I need you to make your bed, put your toys away, and put your laundry away every day. And they just did it. But if it wasn't done, I would have said, hey, you didn't do that, so you can make my bed tomorrow. Okay, you make your bed and my bed tomorrow. They never argued with me. So we had a happy home because there was none of that. They respected me because I respected them. So I just sort of set precedences in the house. Like, yeah, I actually don't teach what I did. I'll tell you why. Because I did it from day one. I had tons of experience with kids. So I set this all up from day one. They just knew who was the leader in the house. And there's usually one leader. And they just know. Like my mom was the leader. And so they just kind of knew. I don't teach that. I've been coaching now for 17 years. And when I first started coaching, I used to try and teach what I did. Well, that's ridiculous. Because I didn't get like a 15-year-old who, you know what I mean? Like I didn't start with a 15-year-old. But anyway, then I invented that behavior board and I put the parents on it. I did that a year after I started coaching. It made all the difference in the world because parents have to understand you're accountable too. If I messed up with my kids, I was accountable. Plus, I'd never yelled before. I never yelled. Yelling is a sign of it. It's just, it tanks. You can't get respect if you yell. You just can't. I was never yelled at, and I never yelled at my kids. So. It's real fun when those kids become the hiring pool. They have to learn a lot in life later on. I always feel bad for them because they get out in the real world and no one's trying to cater to them like their parents were. They weren't trying to roll out the red carpet every time they went anywhere. So then they have to learn the hard way. That's why there's so much mental health issues. That's why I believe that. I truly believe that. That's why they're so fragile. That's why mental health it's an absolute epidemic right now because they weren't taught any responsibilities. They were catered to. They got their own way and they got away with crap. Then they go out in the real world and it's a slap in the face, right? That's why I said you're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. I'm exaggerating. Of course I'm exaggerating, but I'm getting my point across, hopefully. Please save this live so we can share it. This live is on YouTube. That's where I save it. All my lives are saved on YouTube. A friend of mine had a trophy made for her daughter so she wouldn't miss out. Oh, I'm not going to criticize your friend. I already did, but I'm not going to. You know what? Every parent does the best they know how. I'm not criticizing the parents. I'm criticizing the experts out there teaching this stuff. It's the people teaching this crap that get on my nerves. You know, that's what bothers me about this. What are you doing to these poor parents? What the heck are you doing to them? They come to you for advice and you hand out this garbage? It drives me insane. Plus, if you're going to take advice from someone about parenting, there's two things you have to look for. Have they finished the job? Have they lived with teenagers and their kids are adults? Have they finished the job? Number one. Number two is they might have just had really easy kids. Have they worked with hundreds of other kids with all sorts of challenges? Dangerous teenagers, toddlers with autism, physically disabled 7, 8-year-olds. Have they dealt with all this stuff? It's experience-based. You're not doing your children any favor if you're giving in to them all the time. If you're trying to make their life easy, you're going to wreck them when they're young. When they're adults, they're going to go out there, young adults are going to be ruined. They won't know how to do anything. They won't know how to accept the word no. They won't know how to work for anything. They expect everyone just to cater to them. It's horrible. You didn't validate my feelings. Well, I'm just a bus driver, lady. Like, that's what you're doing to them. It's horrible. They're victims. It's horrible. Sorry, I'm on my soapbox. I'm just so passionate about this. I'll never forget when I saw that participation award come out. And then I saw all the other stuff tumble in after that. Validate every single feeling, every single emotion. And then those parents usually yell at their kids at the same time because it doesn't work, right? So you're getting all this horrible advice. Like, yeah, you validate the important stuff. You do not need to validate anything wrapped around a tantrum. That is, you ignore that. You do not need to validate a tantrum. No way. No way. That's ridiculous. You don't validate that kind of garbage. But, oh, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming most of the people spinning this stuff are inexperienced. And, you know, I just feel bad for their victims. I really do. Because it's just so, it's frustrating. But you know what? I'm lucky. I don't know anyone out there who teaches anything about parenting. Because if I'm criticizing anything, I'm not criticizing anyone. Just today, I got an email about doing a panel, and they wanted my opinion on other parenting methods. They want me to go on with other people talking about their parenting methods. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit and insult someone, right? This is my channel. I can say whatever I want, but I'm not going to go and sit with someone and insult them, you know, because they believe in this very strongly. I just think that's so tacky. So anyway, I said, no, thanks. No, thank you. Yeah, I don't know anyone else in the field. I'm very careful. Oh, I got to go. I got to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. Check out the link above. You can check out my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Tomorrow, I have another live boot camp course Zoom call where I'm doing Q&As just in the group in the boot camp course. So I'm doing 5 more of them. You missed the first week, but that's on the course now. And then the other ones will end up on the course. So it's just a one-off. I'm just going in there and doing that. I want your feedback. I want to see how you're doing. That's why I'm doing this. And then week 6, the course is only 5 weeks long. Week 6 is the last Zoom call. And I want to see, how did it go? I want to buff up the course, fix it. I want to make sure it's perfect. It's only about 9 months old. So it's still like an infant. So I want to make sure I've got everything in there. And, but yeah, that's why I'm doing this. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm moving over to TikTok now if you want to join me there. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. Thanks for watching. Happy parenting. Okay. I caught, someone on YouTube. I caught my son doing yoga and I'm wondering, is he gay? Does it matter? I don't know. I think you're joking. Yeah. Okay. Hello. Um, just waiting for people to come in. Oh, I got some weird stuff on YouTube. Kids come on here and say stuff. That's okay. I worked with kids, so I'm used to all that stuff. Okay, welcome to my live. If you're new here, I'm Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, and I'm just here answering your questions. I've been working with kids now for 52 years. 52 years. How old am I? Anyway, that's okay. But yeah, I love kids. I find them fascinating. I love figuring them out. And whenever I'm coaching someone and they're talking about their kids, I can always remember what I felt like at that age. So yeah, I find kids fascinating because we were all there. We were all there once. If you're not learning and improving as a result of being a parent, you're missing out. Your kids are going to be your biggest lessons in life. They're going to teach you all about yourself, about patience, about empathy, about giving, about all, they're going to teach you so much about yourself. If you're not learning through your children, you're missing out. Pay attention to them. They're fascinating, especially teenagers. That's my favorite age. Yes, you didn't hear incorrectly. Teenagers are my favorite age. Because once you know how to talk to them and how to work with them or parent them, they're the best. They're developed, they're smart, they're interesting. And because teenagers can talk at such a high level, but they haven't got the wisdom or the experience in life to be influenced by all that stuff. They come in they look at everything with a fresh eye, like with fresh eyes and a fresh brain when they're teenagers. That's why I find them so fascinating. You listen to them. They've got some really good information. Okay, let's get going with your parenting questions. I'm just here to answer those. I think I'm over my cold now. It's just got some remnants. I got a coughing attack, I think, yesterday in the gym. You know how embarrassing that is? Trying to hang onto a barbell and choking. How can I encourage my 20-month-old to start talking? I can't really talk about that because I don't know. There's no set age when they need to start talking. I knew a person, she's an adult now, but she was 3 before she talked or walked. And then her mom always joked and said she got up, ran, and never shut up after that. She just wasn't ready. So if you're really worried, you have to go to a doctor or a pediatrician or whatever, or a speech pathologist if you're really worried, but they don't all talk early. I mean, some of them talk later. So you be the judge. If you're really worried, then maybe go and get some help. But yeah, some kids just aren't in a hurry. I was very much so, as you can imagine. My son was. He was daughter, not so much. When she started talking, though, she never stopped. But yeah, she was in no rush to start talking. My grandson is 5 and he doesn't talk at all. Is he that, what do they call that, selective mute? Is that what he is? A selective mute? I've worked with kids who had selective mutism. But that is unusual if they're 5 and they don't talk. I would definitely look into that at 5. I would say by the age of 3, I would look into it. Okay, this is something I don't normally talk about. Just a sec here. Okay, need help being a leader to my 2-year-old. Do you recommend your boot camp course? No, it starts at 3. I had someone going through it now, and they were on the live last week on the Zoom call, the group's coaching call, and they started at 2.5, and it didn't work. And I said, yeah, you started too early, so they're starting again now. So yeah. How to help a picky eater. I can't really comment on that because I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, but I will tell you what I did with my kids. You can take what you want from it or nothing at all. Okay, I'm a real health food nut. I'm really into health and fitness and all that stuff. And when my kids were little, I made everything from scratch. And we only had healthy food. I had no junk food in the house at all. So they knew if you don't eat this healthy thing, you got that healthy thing. So they just learned from a really young age that you have to eat healthy. And also I snuck a lot of stuff into whatever they liked. Whatever they liked, I used it to my advantage. If they decided that they liked toast, boy, I'll tell you, there was all, because I made my own bread. So there was all, and I hate cooking, by the way, but I did it. But I'd sneak in a puree, a bunch of flax seeds or wheat germ or whatever, and sneak it into the bread. With pizza, I made all my own pizza, the dough and everything from scratch. And my son, the first time he ever had pizza when he was out, he came home and he said, the pizza was weird because the sauce was red, because at home it was brown because I had pureed spinach in there. So I was really good at sneaking healthy stuff into anything. Whatever they liked, I would throw something into it. I was very good at that. So what'd you do when other people offered them junk? I said, go have it, have at it, go for it. I didn't police that. I just said, yeah, sure. When they were really little, I did, tiny. But as they got older, I said, go. They'd go to birthday parties and they'd eat all that crap. And then they'd come home and then they always had a stomach ache because they weren't used to eating like that. Like I eat really clean. So if I have anything junky, I'm sick for like a day or two because my system's like, it's just not used to garbage, right? So and that just goes to show how bad that stuff is for you. You build up a tolerance to all that junk food. But yeah, I don't have the tolerance and little kids don't either. Oh, I've had it, by the way, I've had it. I wasn't always this fussy. But yeah. So you take what you want from that. I'm radical, but that's just my choice. Like I won't even tell you how I eat now. It's too weird. It's just my choice. I'm not pro what I do. It's just my choice. I know how I like to look and feel, so I eat to get there. But yeah, everyone always says to me, really? Is that what you do? Yeah. You want to know how I eat? Okay, I'll tell you. I'm a gluten-free health food vegan. And I don't eat any junk food. Oh, except I drink Diet Pepsi. That's my garbage. And that's my poison. And I'm not into alcohol or anything. And so yeah, I drink Diet Pepsi. Every year or so, I go off it and then I go back and forth. I seem to be addicted to it. It's the one poison I have. So yeah, and it's just, I'm not pro-vegan or pro-gluten-free or any of that. It just works for me, right? So I just want to make that very clear. I'm not pro-vegan. I'm not one of those. Like you could sit and eat ribs right beside me. I'd probably drool over them, but I wouldn't want them. But they smell good, right? So yeah. That's why you look so good at your age, no offense. Yeah, I'm in my 60s now. So, what I noticed though, and this is just, when you're young, I used to get teased by some friends when I was younger for working out so much. And no one's teasing me now because when you hit your 50s, back in the day when I was in my 50s, that's when you notice it. If no one's looked after themselves, especially when you hit mid 40s and 50s, that's when you see the divide. People who've looked after themselves, it basically shows more. Like that's when you start to feel, I got tons of energy. I can't even sit still. I'm very hyperactive because I work out every day and I eat really well. So that's when you see it. When you're young, you can get away with anything. But when you get older, this is when it shows. It really does. My face will always show it. That's just part of getting old. But I mean, you know what I mean, though? It's you look after yourself when you're young, and it'll pay off down the road. Yeah, no one's teasing me now. Okay, I like this one because this comes up quite often, and it's a really good answer. I mean, I think what I think is a good answer. 7-year-old gets upset if she gets an answer wrong. She starts to cry in school. Perfect grades. Okay, she's the perfectionist. You know what that says to me? Low self-esteem. Why does it say that to me? Because I'm nothing if I'm not perfect, right? So don't fuss over her grades so much. Don't fuss over the wins so much. Have more fun, frivolous fun. When you mess up, play games where you mess up and you laugh at your own mistakes, self-deprecating humor. So it says to me that she's not enough if she's not perfect. That's low self-esteem. Perfectionists all have low self-esteem. What do I do? Oh, what do I eat? Yeah, I don't want to get into that. It's too boring. Yeah, I'm weird. I am very weird with my food. I do have a private channel on TikTok. And I do talk about fitness and stuff. It's just my own little personal, I just go on there and yabber about it sometimes. But yeah, no one really wants to know. Okay. I am here talking about parenting. Okay, any advice on how to calm down 20-month-old that screams and kicks during brushing teeth? You just got to make it happen, but don't expect to get every single tooth get perfectly. You just say, we're going to brush your teeth now, and then hold them down and just do a little bit of brushing and say, okay, we're all done. Don't make it too traumatic. Then the next time you do it, okay, we're going to brush your teeth now. They'll get used to the fact it's going to happen no matter what. And I'll give you a good example of why I know this to be true is, well, I've done it lots of times with kids too, but with my own kids, their dad, there's usually a leader and a pleaser. And if there's a leader in a family, there's usually a pleaser because they just sort of defer to the leader. I wanted to do it. I didn't want to mess the kids up. because I had tons of experience with kids. So long as the pleaser defers to the leader, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way it works. My mom was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. So I remember I used to say to my dad, Daddy, can I please have that? And I knew Mom wouldn't want me to. So I'd whisper, can I please have it? And he goes, sure, sweetie, you can have anything you want. And then he got smarter as time went on. He said, let's just check with Mom. And I'd say, oh, never mind. So it works so long as they defer. Anyway, this was funny. When the kids first started being the crocodile spinning on the change table, and with me, I'd say, I'm going to change your nappy. And in Australia, I raised my kids in Australia, as a nappy. So I'm going to change your diaper. And so I'd hold them down like this across the chest, their heads up here, their legs, I'm holding them. And then I'd change it like that. Might not have been on straight. And I used cloth diapers too with pins. So it was a little bit dodgy. But anyway, I got it on them. And then that was it. But then they stopped fighting with me because they knew it was going to happen anyway. So there's no point fighting with Mom. And but with Dad, he would say, okay, if I let you down for a minute, he was negotiating with them. So they just got worse and worse and worse. And before he went to change them, I'd say, wait. I'd run and get a cup of tea and then stand and watch the show. It was fun. So yeah, they know when you mean business. Like when I say something's going to happen, they knew when Mom said something's going to happen, it's going to happen, period. Like, we're going now. No, I don't want to go. I would walk over, pick them up, and off we go into the car. You know what I mean? Like, I made stuff happen. So they knew. They never argued with me. Whereas Dad, they'd say, no, we want to do this for, okay. So, yeah, you mean what you say what you mean and mean what you say. Okay, restaurant tips with unruly-ish kids under 10. Okay, this is the thing. If they're good at home, they're going to be good when you're out. A lot of parents say to them, now we're going out to somewhere special, be good. If they're not good at home, why would they be good when they're out? They're the same kids. So that's usually the mistake people make, is that they have different rules at home and different rules when you're out. I had the same rules everywhere. Whenever there's food on the table, you sit there and you eat it. You don't get up or anything. There's none of that. But what I used to do with my kids when they were little, like they understand that when they get older, when they were little, I used to take them to the park, run off some steam before we went out. We went to some really fancy restaurants with our little kids. People would see us coming and go, uh-oh. Then afterward, they'd come up to us and say, your kids are so good. They're so polite. But because they were polite at home too, right? But what I did was I met their needs. Kids, it's very hard for them to sit still all night, especially if it's weird looking food that's all fancy and under glass, or I don't know what, we didn't eat like that, but you know what I mean. They're not going to want to eat it anyway. So I fed them before we went. And then I ran them around the park before we arrived. And then I would bring coloring books and crayons that they hadn't seen before. So I just buy some cheap books or whatever and crayons. So I gave them something to do while we were there. If they wanted to eat something while we were there, that was fine, but they were already full before we got there. Okay. So that's how I managed it. And there was no problem whatsoever. I'm not going to put other diners through that. I think that's rude. There's no way I would take unruly kids into a restaurant and expect other people to put up with that. No, I wouldn't do it. I would just think that would be rude of me to do that. Okay, how do you still manage to be a leader with a pleaser co-parent? I find that a struggle because children generally lean into the leader, but with the pleaser parent, they have to defer to the leader. Like if eventually my husband, at the time we divorced years later, but we always got along, no problem. But if he was out with our kids, they would definitely push him a bit more. Do you know what I said to him? He said, how do I manage that? And I said, just say to them when you're out, do you want me to tell Mom? And they go, oh, never mind. That's all he had to say. Do you want me to tell Mom? No, never mind. That's okay. Or sometimes, like I didn't like them having junk food, but we kind of knew we used to call him the treat master. So he'd take them out and he'd buy them a donut or something. I didn't like all that junk. So anyway, buy them a donut. They couldn't wait to get home and tell on him. Daddy bought us a donut. Oh, and Daddy, did you do that? They love that. So yeah, it works beautifully. It's a good partnership. I didn't want him to be the leader because I knew what I was doing. I didn't want to messing them up. So yeah. Also, when my kids started school, I told the teachers, if my kids ever step a toe out of line, never discipline them. You tell me and I'll deal with it. That's my job. I didn't want teachers to have to do that. Well, of course, my kids never stepped a toe out of line because they were respectful at home. They respected me. They respected themselves. And they respected the teachers. They respect everybody. That's how it happens. When you're a leader, they tend to respect everybody. When they're under 3, not so much. But after 3, they tend to do that. They lean into the leader. I call it the leadership umbrella. Once they're 3.5 to 4, usually 3 and 9 months. But anyway, I won't get into all that. It's usually 3 and 9 months. They carry if you're a good leader at home, they carry your leadership umbrella everywhere. So in other words, they're just like that with everyone. They're respectful. Sort of the way it works. Okay. Can you hear that? Sorry, I can't concentrate when the dogs are barking. It's my neighbor. Really nice couple. And they have these two dogs that if they smell their enemy dog in the hallway, which they consider their own property, they go like that. They don't want this other dog. They hate this other dog. And if they smell that dog in the hallway, they do that. How to correct permissive parenting in a 4-year-old girl. Just keep watching or get the free behavior board, or you can sign up for the boot camp course. I've got my, the boot camp course has group coaching Zoom calls right now, every Saturday afternoon. So you can check into that. But yeah, it's just for now. It's funny because someone asked me, they said, well, you must be great with dogs, you know, like animals. And I'm horrible. I mean, I don't understand them. They walk all over me. I've had dogs. I've had all sorts of animals my whole life. My last dog just died last year. I'm not going to get another one because I'm old. I'd like to have freedom now and I got grandchildren now. So I want freedom to be able to help out in that. But yeah, I'm useless with dogs. They're completely different. Kids, teenagers, delinquent teenagers, piece of cake. A little dog, oh, they walk all over me. Yeah, I have no leadership qualities with dogs. Isn't that funny? You'd think it'd be similar, but it's not. People are different. Well, I don't know why. They just walk all over me. And horses, I've gone horseback riding maybe 200 times, and I've been bucked off. No, maybe 100 times I've been horseback riding. I've been bucked off probably 80 of those times. Yeah, horses sense, and they all say this, horses just sense that you're just a pushover. They don't always buck me off, but they get rid of me. You know, two trees that are close together, they go between them, so my legs go back and then I fall off. So they always get rid of me. Isn't that weird? Or they lay down, get rid of me, and then they stand up again. And the owner of the horse always says, I've never seen that before. So yeah, I'm useless with animals. I don't know why. I don't analyze it. I've accepted it. I'm a developmental psychologist and first-time mom. I absolutely love your content. Oh, thanks so much for that. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. Because they're different roles. Like I could never do your job and I couldn't teach or anything. I'd soil myself if I had to get up in front of a classroom. But parenting is home-based. It's different. There's no other role quite like it. The closest role I can think of to being a leader parent, which is the way I call it leadership parenting, is a coach. You know, coaches are fun. They love kids and they have rules and they have consequences. Hey, look, you cheat in the game, you sit on the bench for an inning. That's it. And then when the kid comes back out, come on, you can do it. They're always sort of bringing out the best in your kids, and your kids are having fun. And they tend to look up to that coach too, like a leader, right? That's the closest role I can think of to what I teach is a fun sports coach that the kids all kind of look up to. 3-year-old laughs when I say no one continues bad behavior after leaving room. Please help. That just means you're not a leader. They don't respect you. So work on your leadership skills. Check out the boot camp course. I've got those live Zooms going on Saturday afternoons with group coaching right now if you're interested. Or you can get the behavior board. All my teaching is based off that behavior board. I would never use a behavior board. I never used one. It's a teaching tool because you've got to get structure, you got to get organized, and you start small, one step at a time. That's why I've paced it all out. That boot camp course and coaching are both 5 weeks. It takes about 5 weeks. The first 3 weeks are behavior boards. Then after that, we go off the behavior boards, which is what I always did. I never used a behavior board. It's a teaching tool because you're on there too. If you're not on that behavior board, if you're not accountable, you're not a leader. You're a dictator. You're an authority. I don't do that. I'm accountable too. When I messed up, boy, my kids loved it. Oh, they loved it. Oh, mom messed up. And they'd look at each other like that. And I go, oh, shoot, what do you want? We'd love to go to the water slide park tomorrow. Okay, fine. I'll bring your suits to school. You know, I was accountable. That's what makes it work. You gotta have fun with your kids. They're great. Okay. Becoming a leader advice. That's all I ever talk about. So I can't really give any set advice. Like there's no standard. Here's what you do. It's a whole process. It takes 5 weeks to learn this minimum. But I will read out my top 5 leadership qualities. This is really dumbed down, simplified, but it really says it all. It's just simplified the way I wrote it out. Number 1 is you be calm during the storms. So when they're all upset and tantruming and screaming and yelling at you, it's like business. No emotions, you're calm. Number 2 is be crazy during the rainbows. The rainbows are all the happy times. You can be fun, best friends with your kids, crazy, goofy, loud, whatever. Okay, so calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows. And number 3 is be a great listener. You listen to learn. You listen to gather information to learn, not to lecture with. So you want to listen to your kids, get really good at it. And don't give advice afterwards. Don't gather information to lecture with. You just get really good at listening. And if they say they have a problem, you say, okay, let's work it out. What do you think you should do? So you work with them, problem solve. Yeah, anyway, that's my best advice. Calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows, and become a great listener. It's my best parenting advice. It's simplified, but anyway. Okay, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Tomorrow I have the live coaching call with my boot camp course only. So I do private coaching. That's different. But it's group coaching. I've only done one of them so far. Tomorrow's the second one. And it's with the boot camp course. Now, the reason I'm doing that is I want to learn, how are you doing? I want to be with you during that course. I want to find out how you're going along. Because with coaching, it's feedback one-on-one. I know exactly how they're doing and what's going on. And with the course, the boot camp course, I don't have access to you when you're in that. But now I do. Now you can turn up to that. If you can't turn up, because I know people around the world have different time zones, or you might be busy with your kids because it's a weekend. I did it in the time when I can do it for one thing, and it's on a weekend. So if you can't turn up, those calls will be embedded into the course. The first week already is. Okay, so tomorrow we're going through week 2. If you're only in week 1, you can still benefit. You can go back and look at week 1, and you can still benefit from those calls. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I have to get going. So happy parenting. Bye now.